Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Capricorn, Sun, Moon and Ascendant for the month of September. I hope you're well. Sorry these readings are so late. I have some life stuff that I've been needing to deal with, which I'm afraid has had to take priority, but I got here when I could, so I hope that's okay. So, let's have a look and see what September has in store for Capricorn. 3 cards for Capricorn, please. There's the first one. Got the Ace of Swords in your recent past. Current energy for Capricorn. Oh. Current energy is Justice. Fascinating. And what is coming in for Capricorn, please? 6 of Swords. Pretty sword heavy reading for you, Capricorn. We have the Tower at the bottom of the deck. I feel like this is a gentler tower in the Hush Tarot that I'm using here. Oh, that's fascinating. It's followed by the Fool, which definitely mitigates the energy of the Tower somewhat. Not really mitigates it actually, but you know, gives you something to look forward to after it. Let me get some clarifiers and I'll see. I'll tell you about this. So lots of cards dropping out here. We've got the 4 of Wands and Strength both dropped out. Let's try again. Ace, hopped out. We've got the 5 of Wands. That's interesting. Right. Why is Justice here for Capricorn, please? Page of Wands and King of Cups. It's not Wands, it's Swords. Sorry, it's really very late here at the moment. That's obviously impacting my brain. Let's see, sort of Swords, please. We have the King of Swords. More Swords. Bloody hell. And Strength obviously did want to come out after all. We've got the 7 of Pentacles as the shadow card at the bottom of the deck, followed by the 9 of Pentacles. Followed by the 5 of Cups and then the 6 of Swords. Right. So, I don't think you're very happy at the moment, Capricorn. I wouldn't say you're necessarily sad, though. There's just an absence of you know, the light energy of happiness around you at the moment. It's literally just on Cancer, and it's interesting. I was talking to them about this kind of Saturnian influence that seems to be interfering with their lives at the moment. Not interfering, but kind of presenting itself as, you know, the big harsh authoritarian teacher moment to them. And obviously Saturn rules Capricorn. You know, you're kind of the disciplinarians of the zodiac in structures and rules and oppression, I'm afraid, come under the purview of Saturn. But I'm getting quite heavy Saturn vibes off your reading too. So, not surprisingly, obviously, because you're a Capricorn. I'm a Capricorn ascendant, by the way. I don't know if any of you knew that. I do mention it periodically, so I figure you probably do. Anyhow, what we've got going on here is, like I said, a certain amount of dissatisfaction with your status quo. Things are not as you want them yet, and I feel like that is important. But it looks like you're having a bit of a survey of how the land lies around you, and bits of it are not to your liking. Some of it is, because we've got the 9 of Pentacles underneath. I don't think that you're having any issue with resources at the moment, Capricorn. I think financially things are probably going okay. And certainly in terms of, you know, the things that you need to survive, they are all in to be found in plenty around you. But something is paining you. I think paining is the right word here. And it's, I think it has some sort of emotional root. We've got the Five of Cups, like I said there, which is a card that talks about loss specifically. It can talk about grief, actually, and bereavement, but it can also talk about being in an energy of feeling like you have lost something, something has been taken from you. Sometimes it can just be a card that indicates that you're focusing too much on those things and not paying proper attention to what it is that's around you. But then we have the Six of Swords underneath, and it feels like something is getting left behind, right? You could be moving house, actually. We've got the Tower and the Six of Swords here. For some of you, that might be true. But I've got the darndest feeling that there's sort of an end of an era feeling here with what's going on with you at the moment. I can't quite place why I feel like that. It's like the things that are going well, you're kind of looking at them as satisfactory rather than being happy about them, right? Maybe they're not, great enough to be happy about, but what it is that you feel like you've lost is sort of rather taking the shine off the things that are going well. I hope that this makes sense. And there's certainly an element of moving away from something, leaving something behind, leaving something in the past, but not skipping on to past as new, right? It doesn't feel like there's a wonderful new start full of potential that's in front of you. That it feels restricted, it feels delayed, perhaps. And that's interesting, because you are the kings and queens of delayed gratification. You understand about putting the work in, just like Taurus, in fact, putting the work in now, because at some as yet undisclosed point in the future, you will be able to take your foot off the gas a little bit and, and do things differently. But for now, they are as they are. This is bothering me, though, and it's bothering you. I know this much. Now, the interesting thing is that this Tower we've got here, like I said, could indicate a house move for some of you. But this is a chimney pot that's already blown, right? This is not some great fire in the chimney there that's, causing that to happen. And it hasn't just suddenly rocked back. This has occurred over a period of time, right? And we see the birds just sort of sitting in there, kind of eyeing this tower up and going, might be able to build a nest in here or something like that, right? It's like there's been an ending, right? Because the Tower quite often does indicate an ending. And then what we've got is the Fool underneath, which is the new start. And it's indicated by, I guess it's a ferret, right? But this isn't fresh. This ending isn't fresh. It's either delayed, slowed down, frustrating, something like that, or it's already happened and you're still kind of trying to deal with the aftermath of whatever the Tower represents to you before you can get to your Fool energy. This is really interesting. I haven't even touched the cards I pulled here. Let's do that. So, the first card that you've got in your recent past is the Ace of Swords. Now, all of the aces contain, the potentiality, the full potentiality of the suit that they represent. So, the Ace of Swords, obviously, is the sword suit. And this is all about words and communications and thoughts, thought patterns sometimes, insights, ideas, that kind of thing. It's very cerebral, it's very intellectual, and with a heavy communication bent to it in some way, right? So the Ace of Swords, being right at the beginning, containing all the potentiality, contains all the potential for new thoughts, new ideas, new ways of expressing yourself, new ways of thinking about the world, this sort of thing. And it's clarified by the Three of Pentacles and the Five of Wands. Now, the Three of Pentacles is a card of cooperation and collaboration, right? It's a card of teamwork, specifically. It's coming together to build something that's going to last for a long time, right? We see that with this, creating some sort of cathedral thing here, right? All cool. But the Five of Wands is faster energy for a start. The Pentacles is quite slow. But generally it deals with conflict. You know, the Wands suit is all about action. It's all about doing things, right? But the Five energy is very disruptive. It's about changes in that, right? So how do you change activity? Well, you pause it, you halt it in some sort of way. You clatter all the stuff together so that nothing can move forwards in straight lines. And it kind of feels like this. It kind of feels like they've all come together in a big clatter. And it actually feels like someone that you're trying to work with is obstructing you in some way. And whether this is intentional or not is actually quite difficult to see at this point. Let me pull another card. Just noticed the Ace of Swords is at the bottom of here as well. What about this Five of Wands? What's this Five of Wands here? Yeah, see, we've got the Eight of Swords and the Star in reverse. Now, that's really interesting because the Eight of Swords is about restriction. It's about being stuck. It's feeling trapped. It's very Saturnian energy, right? Ultimately, it's about being trapped in your own mind more than anything else, actually, because you are a limitless being and you can do whatever you want, right? But you build yourself a cage in your head. And then the Star card is the card of Aquarius, and that's very visionary. It talks about the future. It talks about hope for the future. It feels like connection to the future. Also to things outside of yourself, right? Coming out in the reverse, it feels like your plans for the future have been halted, right? They've been kiboshed in some way. And it seems to be as a result of either not getting the cooperation from someone that you needed it for, or someone that you are trying to work with, and this feels more likely, someone that you are trying to work with in some way or another, unintentionally, whether through ineptitude or what, just kind of being obstructive and blocking what it is that you're trying to create in front of you. The fact that the Ace of Swords is here is maybe this wasn't actually that obvious for a little while before that, but you've kind of seen it now and you see it for what it is. And it's actually like the frustration level has amped up as a result of you seeing that it is their obstruction that is causing the problem, right? This is not down to you. It's not about your efficiency. It's not about your efficacy in any particular capacity. This is about somebody else and somebody else being inept, and this really, really winds you up. Now, in your current environment, your current energy, we've got Justice, more swords. It's the card of Libra in the major arcana, and sometimes it can talk about lessons, right? We're back on that, you know. I don't know, like I literally feel like I've got sound me at the moment. Like I cannot shake that feeling. It's really, really strong. Lessons, karma, that sort of thing, right? It also talks about balance, but in this particular depiction in the Hush Tarot, we don't have any real notion of balance depicted. Right? What we do have is a naked woman, such as actually you would usually see in the Star, but in this version of the Star she's clothed. And we have a number of creatures who I associate personally with great industry. Right? We've got bees and we've got ants. Two animals that are actually renowned for working together well with other people too, in a way that you're having kind of stymied here at the moment. But also, you know, who work really fucking hard. kind of feels like you've laid your cards down on the table about something, Capricorn. It's like you've not been afraid to show your hand here. Tell me about the Justice card. The Moon. Tell me about the Justice card. Seven of Cups. Yeah, it's like this has pissed you off. But actually you've got a lot more options than you had initially thought, or perhaps somebody else initially thought, and you're actually working through these options at the moment. And it's very trying and it's very testing for you. I should point out at this juncture that Aries, not Aries, Mars, there we go, I know it had something to do with Aries. It really is very late. Mars went into retrograde today, 9th of September. It's going to be in retrograde until November, so you can expect everything to be delayed, to be frustrated, because Mars is the planet of action, right? It's about getting things done. It can be about war, certainly, but it's that kind of explosive new start energy with things, right? Barreling into something. When it goes in retrograde, what you can expect is it just no action, right? But lots of frustration. I see you kind of working around some things here, though. It could well be that the Mars retrograde is having an effect on your plans, but it's like, for some of you at least, it's actually caused you to rethink the plan that you had. It's not going along in the way that you'd anticipated, but you are actually still making movements. Certainly exploring your options. Now, it's quite interesting, down here we have the Page of Swords and the King of Cups. Now, the King of Cups is Scorpio. There might be an important Scorpio around you here somewhere. And we've got the Page of Cups, Page of Swords, sorry, which is the card of, I don't think it has a correlation, actually, an astrological correspondence. No. The Knight, the King and the Queen do. It's kind of like a wild card. But when you see the Page of Swords, all the pages for me are kind of like new ways of thinking or new ways of doing things, you know, newly discovering the value of something, right? It's new because it's the first level of the hierarchy. The thing is, though, this page, like, look at his body language, right? He's pointing in the direction of the future, right? His whole body is pointing that way, but one foot is turned back and his head is turned back. He's got his sword held aloft in the direction that he's going, but he's looking back, right? Are you having second thoughts about something, Capricorn? No? If you've got a Scorpio in your life, potentially you're having second thoughts and they're not. You notice how they're looking in opposite directions here, right? That's quite important. If it's not a Scorpio that you have knocking around you at the moment, then what this is a kind of an internal clash with you, because it's a conflict of heart and mind here, right? The mind is kind of looking back at things, like, second guessing, have I done the right thing here? Why is everything so fucking hard if this was the right thing to do? But then this King of Cups, he's tilted more towards the future, right? It's kind of looking at me, it's kind of side-eyeing me, but he's moved towards the future. It's like emotionally, there's some sort of emotional reason why the way that you are going about this is better than what was before. And I think maybe it's the delays, it's the interruptions, it's the frustrations that are causing you to kind of look back and try and work out if you've done the right thing. Nice. But actually this discrepancy between your heart and mind is actually causing you a bit of pain at the moment. Right? There's a certain amount of that's interesting. Actually, we've got the Six of Cups here. The Six of Cups is the past, right? in whatever way it applies. There's a giant moth trying to get into my turret. So that can be, you know, your past, it can be childhood, it can be your children potentially sometimes too, right? Maybe this is the best thing for your children, but actually mentally you're kind of like, God, I wish we didn't have to do this, right? And so the Justice card is here because actually that's the thing that you're having to balance in order to move forwards. Gotcha, right? But it feels like it's throwing up some things for you that you didn't anticipate having to deal with. Right? With this Moon card here. In fact, the whole thing is feeling a little bit like a clusterfuck, because not only have you got all of the practical things to deal with in front of you, not only have you got this, you know, heart and mind facing in two different directions, but there is something else coming up. And I think it's from the past. This situation is throwing light on something deep within you that you didn't realize that you had to face right now. And that's kind of compounding the problem for you. So, for September, we've got the Six of Swords. This is more movement, more energy, right? And the Six of Swords specifically talks about moving away from something, right? It's 6 energy, which always indicates movement for me. And it's movement away from the 5, from the disruptive agents of chaos energy that is 5 of anything, right? The Six of Swords very rarely depicts a character who looks happy about what it is that they're doing, but I always get the impression with this card it's like they know it's the right thing. They may not be happy about it, and I don't think that you covering yourself up with a blanket and looking sullen and anything like that. That's not the face that you're showing to the world, but there's something that you're finding difficult here, right? But you are moving, right? There is movement occurring. You are reconciling the problem between heart and mind, and you've got your mind to catch up with where your heart is, with your emotional duty for some of you, or the emotional pull is. This is what is coming up ahead of you. And we've got to clarify the King of Swords and strength. Now, the King of Swords is about making those logical decisions, right? So now you have a King of Cups and a King of Swords, where you had the Page who was looking back, right? A minor character in the minor arcana, in the court hierarchy, kind of second guessing, kind of wondering if you're doing the right thing. It feels like you're fully committing to it here. And there are things that you need to work through, certainly, because you're not, you know, entirely filled with joy about the proposition here, but you're making do. And Capricorn, actually, you're really rather good at that, right? And the things that you don't like, you tend to just get your head down and change anyway. So, you know, but this feels like it's been really difficult for you personally, not just practically. But you're getting your head around it. We've got 2 kings who are now balancing the load between them, right? And then we've got the Strength card, which always talks to me about growth, right? It's about the kind of growth that comes from conquering adverse circumstances, or whatever it is that you've been struggling with here, Capricorn. You can expect to kind of grow as a person as a result of it. And I hate that. Like, whenever you see the Strength card, it's usually because things have been really fucking awful, and it makes me sad when I see it now, which is sad because it's card of Leo, and I should feel like I should exalt everything that is to do with Leo. But just like with Leo, you know, sacrifices are made and things are endured, and one comes out the other side, collectively speaking, of course, comes out the other side, you know, older, wiser, stronger as a result. It's like the velvet and the steel here for you, Capricorn. Yeah, I'm looking at the steel of the blade and the velvet of the lion's fur here. It's a pretty good combination, actually. Clear, logical thought. making really good judgments about things, reasoned decisions about things, and also growing here. So I'm going to leave it here. If this has resonated with you at all, I'm going to go and do an extended now on Vimeo. The link should be down in the description box. And we'll kind of pull this apart a little bit. I'm kind of interested in the now moving into what's coming in. So we'll pull it apart a bit anyway. If you're interested in that, come join me over there. That would be wonderful. If not, no shade. I will see you in about a week or so actually for the mid-month readings for September. Okay, take care.